41% of organizations reported that they experienced at least 3 critical risk events in the past year. A recent example of this that we should all know of is COVID-19. COVID changed the way that most, if not all, of companies operate. There are internal risks that can occur from within the company, such as hiring a new employee or deciding to increase marketing costs. There are also external risks that businesses can try their best to monitor, but at the end of the day, also need to learn to adapt to whatever changes these factors bring. We can't get rid of risk, but we can learn to avoid or jump over it when the hurdles appear. We need to switch the perspective on risk through research and analysis to figure out how we can combat risk. This is where a risk register comes into play. In a previous video, I talked about what a risk register is, as well as 5 qualities that an effective risk register should have. Today, I will be going over 4 more qualities that help create an effective risk register. But first, let's review what a risk register is. A risk register does 3 main things. It identifies a potential risk, analyzes that risk, and then provides solutions for those risks if they were to arise. Our first 5 qualities were 1. Identify the risk, 2. Describe the risk, 3. Categorize the risk, 4. Risk probability, and 5. Analyze risk. Now let's move on to number 6. Mitigate risks. This is one of the most important parts of the risk register. After all, this is practically what it's all about. This is also referred to as a risk response plan. This should include step-by-step instructions on how to mitigate and/or lessen the risk if it were to happen. A brief description of the intended outcome should exist, as well as how the plan will affect the impact. Depending on the risk, the time it takes to find a solution will differ, and it might take more than one person to figure out the best response. 7. Risk priority. Here is where you will determine the priority of your risk. In order to determine priority, consider how likely it is for the risk to occur, as well as the action plan it would take to resolve the issue. You can use numbers to help scale priorities and make lists. For example, 1 would be high priority, 2 would be medium priority, and 3 would be a low priority. Now let's add some color. Color coding is a great way to categorize priorities and make information more identifiable. 8. Risk ownership. This helps determine who on your team is responsible for implementing the necessary actions for the risk. It serves as a great visual within the log to show which team member is responsible for what tasks. And 9 is risk status. The risk status keeps team members updated and informed on the status of the risk. It tells you whether or not a resolution for the risk has occurred. Some simple terms you can use to update the risk status are open, in progress, or closed. Risk registers are a great way to store information in one place while staying organized and having the ability to add a personal touch to them. Now that you are familiar with the qualities a risk register should possess, you are equipped with the tools necessary to implement one into your own project management regimen. If you'd like to learn more about risk registers, reach out to eTactics. And you already made it this far into the video, so you might as well like it, share it, and comment below. Now let's get into some risky business.